Councilwoman Casperson for recognizing it was 4 o'clock and that we all needed to hurry in here for the meeting. Appreciate you keeping me on track. Today is Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. We are in the City Council chambers of Washington City Hall for our regularly scheduled workshop meeting. We don't have a long agenda, but I think we have a few pretty good items. So without further delay, Council, I will turn to you for a motion to approve the agenda as outlined.
Mayor, I can approve the workshop agenda meeting for October 25th, 2023.
Thank you, Councilman Ivey. We have a motion.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
The workshop agenda is approved. The first item of business is a discussion regarding the landscape and water conservation ordinance. My name is on the agenda. I'm going to do what a good mayor does and defer and delegate to our Legislative Affairs Officer, Jordan Hess.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. This is just a continuation of the things we discussed a couple weeks ago. We took a lot of your feedback. I know that Mayor took a lot of this information back to the board at the Conservancy District. Jeremy and I also met separately with Doug at the
Yeah, so you need to click on City Inspect. And then once you're in City Inspect.
and
Sounds like Eldon.
we have some good news that the board did agree to some of your suggestions. So we have made some changes to the ordinance, some edits since you last saw it. Those edits were included in the packet. I have hard copies if anyone would like one, but there were 3 changes specifically. We removed the reference to the 10-foot rule in residential areas. The board was understanding of our concerns and wanted to respect that idea. So we've removed that 10-foot rule when it comes to residential so that we're not telling people exactly where they need to plant their grass in their own yards. Secondly, we included the individual allotments may be combined into a common area in the multifamily dwelling projects that were allowed 100 square feet of grass per unit. We just clarified that they can combine all of those allotments into one common area. And then lastly, we did include a definition of a roadway and ran this definition past state compliance, and they said that it complied with state code. So as you can see, a roadway is an area meant for vehicular use. The roadway for purposes of this ordinance ends at the front of the curb or where vehicle tires are legally allowed. And those are the 3 changes that we've made. Happy to take any questions you have, but wanted to appreciate, I appreciate your feedback that you were very clear about, that we were able to then take back to the Conservancy District, and they were willing to work with us, which was very positive.
So can we start with just clarification on the roadway definition? So I'm gonna ask Lester to help us out with this one.
Batter up, Lester. Let's go, buddy.
So I read this and I didn't hit me the first time, and then I read it again and I'm like, okay, I'm always trying to put holes into how people can review it. So I'm going to read it to you, Lester, and you tell me what you think it means. An area meant for vehicular use. The roadway for purposes of this ordinance ends at the front of the curb or where vehicle tires are legally allowed. Do you know why I am? It's because Public Works might read it one way different than. The only reason why I bring it up is because when it said front of curb, there's a curb and there's a gutter.
Yeah,
correct. So I would say front of curb and gutter. so that it's from the asphalt line, not, that's the intent in their mind. Because when you said where the vehicle's tires are legally allowed, they're legally allowed in the gutter. And so that's 2 feet difference.
Correct. And you kind of have that, we use a ribbon curb from time to time. We've got it on Main Street, for example. There's a ribbon curb there. And the gutter pan is actually considered to be part of the traveled way.
I don't think that the district is going to fight you on your definition of
Yeah.
roadway. There, the concept then, if we took it out of the residential areas, so it is only in an active play area or active, what do we call it now? An active recreation area. And we would like the grass to be far enough away. They would like the grass to be far enough away from the road that kids aren't playing right next to the road as well. So I
Yeah,
don't think
and-
they'll
and I
fight you.
think
If we
I'm
want
fine
to call
either-
it curb and gutter, I
Yeah.
think that's totally.
I think I'm fine. I just want to make sure that we're all understanding the way I read it versus
So you would just change that to say curb and
curb
gutter.
and gutter.
I think that's more-
Or something you could do that might make it pretty clear is whatever the boundary designation of that roadway is. Pretty much all of our roadways have a concrete boundary established with them. You know, there's gonna come a time when we're gonna have a concrete roadway and there's no longer any asphalt to be considered, so.
But I think if we said curb and gutter, I see what you're saying.
I like that. Council, you comfortable with adding and gutter?
And then they would just measure from the asphalt edge or where the gutter would be historically, even if
Yeah,
it's
we could-
concrete on that and pull.
I like that.
Thanks, Lester. Didn't mean to pick on you so early.
Lester, while you're up here, does anybody have any other really difficult questions for Mr. Dalton? I mean, I just, we're letting him off so easily. Thanks, Lester.
All right, thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Council.
So Jordan, just because I see it on the residential, whereas because it got removed, I'm having a hard time remembering where it was on the 10-foot.
Yeah, it was in 8932 AB. So on the page 4 of 7. On that B, it said grass is prohibited in park strips in any landscape area that measures less than 8 feet in width on any slope that exceeds 15%. And then it said is also prohibited within 10 feet of a roadway.
So that's just been removed. That's
just
why it
been
doesn't show
completely
on the current draft
Yep.
of the ordinance. And we'll just give you feedback. I really appreciated the council direction because I took it to the Washington County Water Conservancy District Board of Trustees meeting, and it made sense to them. I mean, we spent probably 10 minutes on this topic. They really valued the feedback from Washington City. They recognized that we're the first municipality in the county, updating the ordinance to keep that rebate program in effect for our residents and communities who value it so much. So they felt like that was something that where that wasn't a state rule, where that was a district rule, that they would be happy to accommodate. And so I felt really good about being able to represent the council's position on that particular item. And I really appreciate the way that Jordan has clarified the roadway and then the ability to combine the space for the multi-unit housing with those allotments. I felt really good about both of those, but further discussion or questions for Jordan on this topic?
No, I would just share that I think this is the way good government works. We had something that was drafted that was thoughtful, but yet when it came here, there were some additional comments that were made, and through cooperation, connections and relationships, we were able to bring it back to where everyone feels good about it. It's a win-win for everyone. So I appreciate the efforts of the council, for the Water Conservancy District, Mayor, for your position on the board there. And this is what I like to see, good cooperation in serving our citizens.
Well, I think this is part of the process, right? We go back and forth and we try to get it right. So thank you for letting me be your intermediary on that back and forth.
I don't think we got the definition for mulch in here.
Lester?
What is mulch?
Now,
So
where's-
I'm a little bit on one.
where's-
I'll settle down before the
where's-
regular meeting at 6, okay?
Where's Barry? No, I just, because maybe I'm just not, when I think mulch, I think like wood chips. And so, sorry, what was his name? Doug mentioned that meant rocks, landscape rocks or mulch. I just want a definition on that. So I don't know if we can just make that a condition.
What would you,
I
what
would
verbiage would you call it? Mulch parentheses wood chips, or how would you?
I just would
define that?
clarification that mulch can be whatever
Rock, rubber.
any ground covering, yeah, or dirt, yeah.
Would you like
Weeds,
Jordan
tumbleweeds.
to draft that and update before the regular meeting?
Just draft something up and we'll look at it.
Yep.
What, so
I'll
here's
have
your opportunity, council, what you see going in with mulch?
I think all ground covered, not grass.
Because you've got rubber, you've got wood chip, you've got other product that, but it's all considered mulch. It's just different products within.
Maybe just in parentheses, you could say wood chips, gravel, et cetera. That way people, because I'm with kind of like Craig, I mean, I know mulch means gravel too, but the first thing that comes to my mind is a bag of bark from Home Depot is mulch, but
Well,
so it might be good to clarify.
should we also have non-grass area, like
So I
Like-
think
Go ahead.
I think they wanted it, they don't want just dirt either. It needs to be something on top of the dirt.
Ground cover.
Some sort of cover so that I believe we'll get a definition before your regular meeting and we'll show it to you in the meeting. And I think if we put it right in the definitions, that'll be fine because it already references mulch.
Okay. Happy to do that.
All right, anything else? If not, then council, we comfortable bringing this forward in the regular meeting as an action item?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, Jordan, you've got your marching orders from over
Yep.
the next little bit. and
Sounds
we'll go
good.
from
Thank
there.
you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate your work on that.
Thanks, Jordan.
I see Thad has mulch pulled up on his computer. He's looking at it.
I was ready to give you the Shade Tree Committee's opinion on the definition of mulch, but I think that may not have been very helpful.
Last I checked, it's Thad Mulch Sigmiller, but I could have been.
Shade tree. say
Yeah, they called me
shade
mulch in high school.
Call me Mulch. All right. Second and last item on this agenda, really excited to announce this one. This is a resolution. Resolutions, as you know, are council driven. Appreciate Councilman Ben Martinson bringing forward a resolution for your consideration. And this would be the opportunity to discuss before it's voted on in the regular meeting tonight. But this is a resolution remembering the national motto. Councilman Martinson.
Thanks, Mayor. So it was brought to my attention, Councilman Ivy brought it to my attention, and we kind of worked together on this and he asked me to spearhead this, to bring this forward, but it was brought to my attention and we started working together on it. And it's a joint effort with an organization called the In God We Trust America is what it is. And what they're doing is they're calling upon elected officials to really put that motto back into the municipalities and the counties and any government organization that has the ability to do that, because it is our national motto. And their mission of this specific organization is to promote patriotism by encouraging the elected officials to vote yes to legally display the congressionally approved national motto, In God We Trust. And they want this to move forward in every city, in every county, in every state, so that we can get back to our patriotic roots and our In God We Trust. There's a brief history on it that I was able to find. And Mayor, if you're okay with it, I'll just read through
Please,
that.
you have the floor.
So on July 30th, 1956, during the Dwight D. Eisenhower administration, Congress adopted In God We Trust as the official national motto of the United States of America. In early 2001, Bakersfield, California, city council member heard on the radio news that a small group back east was protesting that In God We Trust was posted on a public building. She was offended that they were offended. She immediately said, "Fine, they are working to take down our motto. I will work to put our motto up." And she did. So on February 22nd, 2002, this same council member led the Bakersfield City Council to vote yes to prominently display the national motto, "In God We Trust," in their council chamber at City Hall. Soon after, other cities and counties began doing the same. In God We Trust America, which is this organization, was created in 2004 to encourage elected officials across America to vote yes to display the national motto. The patriotic campaign is legal and the number of victories continue to grow. There have been no legal challenges because there is nothing to challenge. It is legal. We're elected officials showing a commitment to the true history of our country. So that's kind of, and I've been working with Thad to get this resolution kind of outlined. And it's really up to us. There's, if you look in the packet, the very last clause in the resolution gives us the opportunity to display that. This resolution doesn't mean we have to display that, but this is just us resolving to put that national motto back into our city, because we are a very patriotic community. We really trust, we trust in God. We trust that He leads all of our elected officials as much as He possibly can. So that's the resolution before us. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read it. It's a very simple, thank Thad for making that happen. Very simple resolution, and just asking for any questions.
Council, this is your opportunity to discuss with your peer.
I really like it. So thank you for bringing this forward, and love to see more cities take a proactive approach to kind of preserving these types of things in our communities in general. So FYI, I went to grade school in Bakersfield and I lived 3 blocks away from Buck Owens, if you remember who Buck Owens is, the famous Buck Owens. So anyway, little tidbit of information. No, but I went trick-or-treating at his house. So
I just want to share my support of this. I love that every meeting we start with a prayer and, the Pledge of Allegiance. And I know that I rely upon God every meeting. I pray that I can make good decisions, and I am very supportive of having that displayed in this council chamber. And I know that our community shares that support for, in God we trust. And so thank you for bringing this forth.
I think it goes along with the USS Utah that was presented, right? We want to lead out. We want to ask our county to do the same. We want to ask our state to do the same, because why not? So.
Well done, Councilman, Council. Any further discussion on that item? Very appropriate comments. Thank you, each of you. This concludes the agenda as outlined. This time I'll call for a motion to close the workshop session, and we'll reconvene at 6 o'clock for the regular meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Coates.
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinson. All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Today is Wednesday, October 25th. We're in the City Council chambers of Washington City Hall at 6 p.m. for our regular scheduled and posted council meeting. As I typically say, our meetings are posted on washingtoncity.org/meetings. You can watch them live or watch them at your convenience. This evening, we have Pastor Ia Jimenez with the New Life Christian Center representing the Interfaith Council. Invite her to come forward. Pastor, thank you for offering the invocation. And anything you'd like to say prior, please go
Okay.
ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and the people of Washington City. I am a resident of 11 years here. I love this city. I thank you all for your service. And on behalf of the Interfaith Council, I understand that there's an important resolution that's being considered this evening in the matters of faith, and I just want to commend you for it. So if you would just join me in praying over tonight's meeting. Heavenly Father, we come before you and we thank you for another day in your presence. We thank you for your goodness and your faithfulness. And we thank you for this city. And we thank you for those that you've placed in position to serve this city. I pray for a continuance of your wisdom, God-given wisdom from on high to lead the city, to make decisions. I pray for a spirit of unity, that you keep them of one mind and one accord. Lord, I also pray just over the residents, Lord. I pray over families. I pray over children. I pray over the youth. I pray over oppressing forces. I pray for reconciliation in families, Lord. And Lord, any assignment of the enemy, any agenda to cause any kind of confusion or division, any kind of forces of wickedness that want to permeate the city, Lord, we pray for your protection. We pray for your grace. We pray for your spirit to abound in all places. And in all things, in all people, in all ways, Lord. And we just thank you that you give us an opportunity where we can still speak your name publicly without persecution. It's a freedom that's often taken for granted, and we don't take it for granted in this city. We don't take it for granted in this state, and we don't take it for granted in this nation. And so, Lord, we just lift up this meeting to you in this very night. We pray for your blessing upon it and that you would be glorified in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful.
Thank you, Pastor. And I know you're busy. I know you have many responsibilities with your congregation, but if you might be able to stay for 5 or 10 minutes, I would appreciate that. Thank you. I see our Youth Council advisor, Chrislyn Wilson, former mayor of Youth Council and now advisor extraordinaire, and she's agreed to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Chrislyn.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you. So council, before I ask for an approval of the agenda, I will just make note that due to a break that we had in between our work session and our regular meeting, that we did go into closed session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of property and pending or potential litigation. I would also ask if the council would grant unto me one accommodation, and that would be to move item 7A that has been led by you as a council and by Councilman Martinson. If we could move item 7A to the top of the agenda before announcements, I'd love for Pastor Jimenez to witness this resolution be passed. So with that said, council, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor, I move, oh, sorry, go ahead. Mayor, I move that we approve this agenda and move item 7A up to the top of the list.
Thank you, Councilman Henderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Martinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. At this time, I will turn to the council for consideration to approve a resolution remembering the national motto of the United States of America and resolving to display "In God We Trust" in the Washington City Council chambers. City Councilman Ben Martinson.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned in workshop, this was a joint effort between Councilman Ivy and myself, and he deferred to me, I think mostly because of my assignment on the Interfaith Council, because this does have a lot to do with the Interfaith Council and our trust that we have in them in saying the reverence, saying the prayer at every city council meeting, and that is much appreciated. And that's an assignment that I really appreciate when I can actually make the meetings. I get all the minutes and I review all the minutes, appreciate the company that is kept there. But this resolution is something that, you know, came about through an organization that is helping to assist us to keep our national motto with our municipalities, with our counties, with our states. And their mission is to promote patriotism by encouraging all elected officials to vote yes to legally display the congressionally approved national motto, "In God We Trust." And they want that to be displayed and resolved in every city, county chamber, and every state capital in the United States of America, because it is something that we should hold near and dear to our hearts. We hold it near and dear here in Washington City. And the resolution kind of speaks to how it came about and the resolution that the Congress passed. And so in that resolution, it does speak to that. So I will not speak to that since it's spoken of in the resolution. So just appreciate the opportunity to present this and the opportunity to kind of, you know, push this forward with Washington City. Appreciate the support that I've had of mayor, city attorney in writing this, and the rest of the council on this. And hopefully we can continue to push this to the county level, to the other municipalities in the county, and to the state level, so that we get this national motto displayed everywhere possible. Because appreciated Pastor Jimenez's prayer, and she talked about the evils and the adversary that are out there. And this is the way we combat that, by remembering whatever we believe in, whatever we believe God to be, that's how we combat the evil, the adversaries, the darkness that is out there in this world. So just appreciate the opportunity to present this, and that's what I have.
Well said, Councilman. This is a short resolution. I'd like to read it before Pastor Jimenez gets back to her congregation. But before I do so, is there any member of the council that would like to speak to this? I know we had some discussion in our prior meeting during the work session.
Mayor, I'd just like to say I really appreciate Councilman Ivy and Councilman Martinson for putting this together. You know, this is something that's much needed in our country, to put God first. And I know sometimes that's not a popular thing to say in this day and age, but I think if we did a little bit more of that as individuals and as communities, things would be much better. So this is going to be a much appreciated thing to add to our city.
Thank you, Councilman. Seeing no further comment, I'll go ahead and read the resolution. This is a resolution remembering the national motto of the United States of America and resolving to display "In God We Trust" in the Washington City Council chamber. Whereas in July 1955, the 84th United States Congress adopted a joint resolution that requires that "In God We Trust" appear on all American currency, which joint resolution was approved by President Dwight Eisenhower. And whereas in 1956, the United States Congress adopted legislation declaring "In God We Trust" as the official national motto, and on July 30th, 1956, President Eisenhower signed said legislation into law, declaring the phrase to be the national motto of the United States of America. And whereas since 1956, other states, counties, and cities have incorporated use of the national motto in schools, public institutions, state symbols, and state mottos. And whereas the national motto "In God We Trust" remains esteemed among the American public and the leaders and citizens of Washington City. Therefore, be it resolved that the Washington City Council and Mayor declare an annual National Model Remembrance Day to be held on the fourth Wednesday of October each year, and that the Washington City Council resolve to plan and prepare for the national model to be displayed in the Washington City Council chamber at Washington City Hall. This resolution shall be effected on the date it is adopted, to be passed and approved on this 25th day of October, 2023. So close, right to the very end. I think that deserves a round of applause. It does. Council, at this time, the model's been read. Comments have been shared in the work session and in this meeting. I would turn to you for a motion on this particular item.
I'll make a motion that we approve this resolution.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Martinson. Please.
I'll second it.
Have a second by Councilwoman Kim Casperson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's passed unanimously. Thank you, Pastor. Have a great night. Okay, let's move on. Our next item of business is announcements. We're going to keep Councilman Martinson busy tonight. In addition to the Interfaith Council, he has the assignment to be a liaison from the council to the Washington City Youth Council. The Youth Council has been hard at work with a plaque for the USS Utah. Councilman Martinson, if you'll go ahead and present that item.
Before I actually show it, it's still in the plastic. I don't want to scratch it. So I'm going to leave it in the plastic as it's displayed until it gets displayed where it's supposed to. But yeah, the Youth Council, after the USS Utah resolution that was passed a few weeks ago, Youth Council was kind of given charge to remember those men and women who were on the USS Utah. And they took the opportunity to do that in conjunction with, I'm going to have the citizen remain nameless because he will be named later. Because I want to respect his decision and his request to me to do so. But he was gracious in approving and helping with the funds, and also helping with the list of the names of the individuals who were on the USS Utah. And because of that generosity, because of that research, because of his willingness to move this forward, we have the flag that's displayed, and we will have this, it's a plaque. It's a super simple, really good looking plaque. I finally took the blue tape off because they taped the little coin, the challenge coin, up to the very top. And so it just has everybody's name displayed. It has a remembrance of them in a very short paragraph. And so I appreciated that opportunity to be able to work with the Youth Council on that. And Mayor Reese was supposed to be here tonight. She's got a state mountain bike tournament that she's attending tonight, so she was not able to make it. But just want to give shout out to the Youth Council, shout out to Carmen for making this happen, and to that individual citizen who will remain nameless. So thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for your service with that committee, and I love that we're connecting this rising generation with those that gave their lives on the USS Utah, that forgotten ship. Very well appreciated, very much appreciated. Please express our gratitude to the Youth Council, and I imagine we're going to hang that up right next to the flag. Is that where we want to do that? Right here at the entrance of City Hall? Okay, we'll do that. Thank you, Councilman. Along the lines of the USS Utah and the anonymous donor of the flag and funding of the project, I'd like to turn a little bit of time over to Councilman Ivy to try to give a little something back. Councilman Ivy.
So for those of you that wasn't here, about a month ago, we passed a resolution in Washington City declaring Pearl Harbor Day as a day of remembrance, and that they're not going to be the forgotten ship anymore, being the USS Utah. It's something that a good friend of mine brought forward, and that I had the pleasure to work with him on in bringing that forward. Part of that, excuse me, part of that ceremony was the unveiling of a flag that actually was on board the USS Utah. And it's displayed, if you didn't see it on the way in, it's displayed on the south side of the foyer as you leave. And you'll be able to stop and look at it where this plaque will hang by that. But since that time, this has been discussed at many different levels. It's being ran, our local legislators will be running this. Senator Vickers and Representative Ellison are two of our legislators that will run this as what our governor has asked to be run as a joint resolution. That my last conversation there was that the governor's planning to mention this in his opening of the legislature this January. But what we felt so compelled in doing this and bringing this forward is that because it says Utah on the side, and that's who we are. And then after that, most people would say it's the forgotten ship. It was a ship that went, history really didn't pay a lot of attention to it, and it kind of went into obscurity. But we know the names of the people that were on the ship. We know the names that died. We know the heroes. We know the Congressional Medal of Honor. We know the child that his ashes are buried there on the ship. And you all know that story because from what we talked about before. But with that very generous donation and forethought from a close friend of mine here in town, I wanted to give something back to him. I wanted, not me, I'm sorry. The council wanted to give something back to share our sincere appreciation and thankfulness for his patriotism, his courage, and his service himself to our nation and to the Air Marshal Service. But at this time, Mayor, with your permission, I would like to ask John Olson to come forward to the microphone, if you would, please. John, this is just a little something to give back. I was able to find a postcard that was given to the sailors on the ship for them to fill out and then send home. This is one that it's been authenticated that it was at one time on the ship, and it was sent to a family, and it was later sold. We have a copy of the resolution, and we have a little medallion right here that says Forgotten Ship. Just want you to know that we're proceeding forward with the ceremony on Pearl Harbor Day, where you will be a speaker and David Cadero will speak. We're going to have the ROTC from Pineview High School there. It'll be a short, very meaningful program, about a half an hour long, and it'll start at 8 a.m. the same time that they were putting up the flag on the fantail of the USS Utah in 1941, where we will try to simulate that same time frame, where we'll open the meeting and then raise the flag during that same time frame. But John, it's with great appreciation for you and your generous donation to the city that we'd like to present this plaque to you, and grateful in gratitude for all that you've done for this cause and for your efforts in our city.
So Councilman Ivy and I have had a little agreement. We've talked about this for my entire adult life. Been trying to pay off a debt from our service members here in Washington. You do something like this and I go deeper in debt. Stop it. I'm hoping when we can get the resolution passed through the state, I can say enough's enough. I am very honored to accept that. Thank you.
Can we get a picture, John? Would that be okay?
Thank you, John.
On that note, you'll be happy to know that the trunk or treat was an amazing success last night. We anticipated we had 1,500 to 2,000 kids, plus parents in attendance at the community center, and the Washington City Fire Department, which was one of about 40 groups handing out candy, handed out 75 pounds of candy. So if any of you have been thinking about dental school, this might be a good spot. A few other just real quick announcements. First, the First Responders Appreciation Car Show is set for this Saturday, October 28th at Washington Elementary. That's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Washington City looks to defend its title, won last year, the inaugural year of the Battle of the Badges. The Chili Cook-Off will be in Washington this year on Saturday, November 4th at Veterans Park at 11 a.m. On Wednesday, November 8th at 6 p.m. in the dance hall at Cottontown Village, the Washington Area Chamber will have their annual gala awards. On that night, it's likely that we'll move our regularly scheduled meeting to 4 p.m. rather than 6 p.m. so that the council and other city officials can attend that gala. The city offices will be closed on Friday, November 10th in observance of Veterans Day. And the county-wide annual Veterans Celebration will be held here downtown Washington on Saturday, November 11th. The parade begins at 11 a.m. with a really nice tribute short program and recognition to veterans throughout the county right here at Veterans Park on the north side. As a reminder, a few other reminders that just going out a little bit further, the municipal general election will be held Tuesday, November 21st. More than just municipal, I think there's a congressional seat for our Washington City voters as well. Christmas in Dixie. The tree will be going up in the middle of Veterans Park within the next few weeks. The tree lighting ceremony will be held on Monday, November 27th. We ask that those that want to attend be there by 5:30 with the lighting at 6 p.m. sharp. And then, as you've heard a little bit about tonight, as we look forward to Thursday, December 7th at 8 a.m., will be the first Pearl Harbor USS Utah Remembrance event. Councilors, I know that's a lot. It's a busy time of year. Is there anything I may have missed? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the next item, item 3. This is declarations of abstentions and conflicts. Anything to declare or any abstentions? Council, I will make note that on item 5A, Kathy Jo Staley is my cousin. I will announce the item. I don't anticipate voting, and I won't join in the conversation. Let's move on to item 4, which is the consent agenda. That consists of approval of council minutes, city council meeting minutes of October 11th, 2023. It's the approval of a final plat for the homestead at Stuckey Farms, Phase 4, lots 29 and 30, located at 4885 South Homestead Way, and approval of a minor subdivision for Cotton Mill 2, located at 700 West Telegraph Street. Any clarifications or items to be removed from the consent agenda before I call for an approval? I'll call for an approval at this time.
Mayor, I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda as outlined.
We have an approval by Councilman, motion to approve by Councilman Coates.
I'll second that, Mayor.
I have a second by Councilman Ivy. All in favor of approval of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved unanimously. Moving right along, item 4A, this is consideration to approve a conditional, did I miss something? 5A, consideration to approve a conditional use permit C-23-13 for a proposed wellness spa / bed and breakfast facility and 8-room guest lodging located at Cottontown Village, Lot 2. Eldon Gibb, city planner, will present to the council on this item. Eldon.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Zoning regulations require commercial buildings over 5,000 square feet to obtain an approved conditional use permit. The proposed wellness center is 5,870 square feet and will provide lodging and resort style treatment for an 8 guest room facility. The owner will reside on site in a separate living area. The wellness center will provide all meals via an on-site kitchen. The lower level consists of a yoga room, steam room, and additional therapy room. These amenities are only for guests staying in the center and are not open for the general public. The average guest stay ranges from 7 to 21 days. Guests typically arrive through the airport, and pick up and drop off is provided by the wellness center. With the owners living on site, a covered parking stall will be provided as shown on the plan. The applicant is also asking for setback relief on both side yards. Under the commercial mixed-use development standards, side setbacks are specified at 10 feet. The applicant is showing the south side property line at 8.73 feet and the north side property line at 5 feet. If the applicant is able to satisfy the building and fire code standards, staff feels comfortable with the proposed setbacks. Staff has reviewed the proposed project and finds that it meets the standards as outlined in the general plan and zoning ordinance. The building elevations, finishes are aesthetically pleasing and appear that the development will be a welcomed addition to the city. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on October 18th, 2023, and unanimously recommended approval of C-23-13, allowing for a wellness center to be built at Cottontown Village, Lot 2 subdivision, and that was on to the City Council based on the following findings and conditions as stated in the report. And I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions you may have.
I just didn't see it in the report. Was the parking adequate? Because we've had trouble in this area before, so I just want to make sure we have enough parking.
We do, yes. They're bringing in improved parking to meet the needs for this site.
But isn't this just the existing parking lot?
It's all gravelled at this point,
Okay, all right.
so they'll improve it hard surfaced and
Further questions for staff? Council, any questions for the applicant or the applicant's representative? The public hearing took place at the Planning Commission, so I'll turn to you for further discussion.
Mayor, maybe the applicant can just tell us a little bit about her business and
Go ahead.
what will be going on there.
For sure. Kathy Jo, would you come forward and would you explain a little bit of your credentials and background and what this model might look like? It looks like a wonderful facility.
Thank you.
And then if you just state your name for the record.
All right, thank you. I'm Kathy Jo Staley, and I am happy to be here. And I'm originally from Washington, and it feels good to come back and bring my business back here. I've been away from Washington for almost 20 years, and I had a retreat center in Mexico and also in California. So after a period of time, I just felt a calling to come home and be closer to the family and do something wonderful on the land that I do here. So I primarily work with people all over the world. It's a specialty offering. Many people won't understand the terminology, but it's Panchakarma, which is the science of detoxification and rejuvenation. So I work with people with diabetes, with cancer, with individuals who also just want to stay young and stay healthy. And I help them learn not only from the programs that we do here at the Wellness Center, but help them learn how to make the shifts in their life that will create a long-lasting health routine that is achievable, that will help reverse a lot of what they're experiencing in their life. Any other questions or questions for my architect? He's here as well and can answer any of the code questions. So.
Thank you, Kathy Jo.
Oh, well, and also I am a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine, and that's the lineage that I'm working with. So.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
She's also a graduate of Washington Elementary.
Okay, council, at this time I will turn to you for further discussion and or a motion.
Mayor, if there's no other conversation, I will make a motion to approve conditional use permit C-23-13 for a proposed wellness spa bedroom and breakfast facility and 8-room guest lodging at Cottontown Village.
We have a motion on the table by Councilman Ivy.
Can I ask, I just thought of something. Is this in the floodplain? Any of the structures in the floodplain?
I don't think they are. I can pull that up if you want. And
I just saw the staircase going down. I mean, I'm sure we can have staircases. I just want to make sure the structure is not in the floodplain. I'm assuming it's not. Oh,
Okay,
FEMA,
we'll just-
never mind. Just,
I don't
I see
think
it
that
now.
it
It
is.
says FEMA floodplain right there. I missed
okay,
it.
it's on it. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we appreciate your expertise, Councilman. We
I'll
have,
second that, Mayor.
have a motion by Councilman Ivy and a second by Councilman Coles. Let's go roll call on a conditional use permit. Martinson,
Aye.
Henderson,
Aye.
Coates,
Aye.
Ivy,
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
The conditional use permit is approved unanimously. We look forward to groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting on your wellness facility. Thank you both. Item 5B, this is consideration to approve a conditional use permit C-23-12 for a proposed gas station and RV park located at approximately 4395 East Telegraph Street. The applicant is Rosenberg and Associates. City Planner Eldon Gibb will present to the council on this item.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Zoning regulations require new development adjacent to Telegraph Road to obtain conditional use permit. The applicant is proposing a 5,100 square foot convenience store and an additional 1,750 square feet of dining area for a combined square footage of 6,850. The fuel pumps are to the south of the convenience store, and there are a total of 7 gas pump stations. The RV park is just north of Razor Ridge Pond and consists of 56 pad sites and a clubhouse. The clubhouse is on excuse me, main floor consists of the clubhouse is 1,482 square feet. The upper floor of the clubhouse is 1,378 square feet and consists of living quarters for an on-site manager. The building elevations, finishes as shown in the exhibit for the gas station and RV park are aesthetically pleasing. The area between the gas station and RV park is being improved with a 39-foot private drive that will bring 3 future commercial uses, which will need conditional use permit approval prior to beginning construction. As shown on the proposed plan, the 39-foot private drive will include 3 egress points, 2 of which are onto Telegraph and 1 is onto Razor Ridge Drive. The applicant is planning to connect these access points in the first phase. The parcel is zoned planned community development commercial. The zoning to the north, east, and south is Hurricane City, and planned community development to the west. Staff has reviewed the proposed project and finds that it meets the standards as outlined in the zoning ordinance. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on October 18th, 2023, and unanimously recommended approval of C-23-12, allowing for a convenience store, gas station, gas pumps, dining area, and recreation vehicle park to be located at 4395 East Telegraph, and that was on to the City Council, based on the following findings and subject to the following conditions in the report. And I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions at this time.
Questions for Eldon?
Eldon, I see that to the west of the property is future hotel site and then a couple of future retail. Is there any conversation right now as to what maybe the future retail would look like? Or
Other than what's shown there, no, there hasn't been in depth.
no discussion about that? Okay, thank you.
Further questions for staff? At this time, if you'd like, counsel, I'm happy to invite the applicant's representative to come forward. If you'd come forward, applicant's representative.
Dylan Hall, designer, Rosenberg Associates.
Hi, Dylan.
Hi.
Good to see you. Talking to that mic a little bit. If you'll just pull that up a little, thank you. All right, any questions for the applicant's representative, counsel?
I've got a question. There's been a little bit of concern brought up about the RV park right next to the pond and right next to, that development right there. Have you guys thought about, some kind of a buffer between the RV park and those places there? Or what do you guys have in mind?
There'll be retaining walls all along the back there, along with like 6-foot block privacy walls along those as well, for as necessary. The block walls will be along the entire thing, the retaining walls as necessary throughout the back of it.
Is there retaining walls along this is for, I mean, maybe you can answer it, but along Telegraph there too, in the RV section,
Yeah, there's retaining wall and block wall along there.
along the whole thing?
Yes. I think up to the PC and PT up around that manhole there. I think that's where the retaining wall ends and the block wall ends up over by the intersection.
Further questions for the applicant?
Do you know what the elevation difference is between the RV park and the adjacent properties?
No more than 8 feet. At the end of the walls, it ends at 3 feet. So
Okay.
maximum of 8 feet of difference.
The council is going to point out that development, just if it might help, is a vacation rental development as well. So, just for concern, it's not full-time. I mean, there are a few people that live there full-time, but it's mostly people coming and going on vacation rental purpose. I mean, in that, just hope that for help, on that. So
thank you.
So the elevation difference is showing 3098 versus 3090. It actually could be 12 feet-ish. A couple spots, just so you know, Councilman.
Other than the clubhouse, is there any other types of activities that is going to be on the RV park?
Not that I know of. As far as I know, there isn't.
I think that wall, can you zoom up on the wall between Razor Ridge Park, Drew? So the way I'm reading your plan, it looks like there's a wall and then the 6-foot block wall is below the wall, which doesn't note down by the park.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so there's a wall and then the block wall's below it. That's not going to do us any good.
It's just designed just to make sure, just to see that there's a difference between the two. They could be on top of each other, but it's just to show that there's a retaining wall and a block wall there. They won't be in front of each other as far as I know.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I would hate to have a 6-foot block wall and an 8-foot rock wall right behind it because it kind of defeats the purpose of the block wall to screen the RVs. So I'd hope that the block wall would be adjacent to the pad elevation of the RVs along that edge.
We can make that a condition if we approve it.
Yep. Okay. That's all the questions I have, Drew.
Any further questions? Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
Council, at this time, I'll turn to you for further discussion and or motion as you see fit.
This is a blue clay site. Do we have to have conditions on the geotechnical, John?
Come on up, John. You've been called from the bullpen in the spirit of the World Series that are starting soon.
I know we've done that on other projects where if it's bad soils, that there has to be constant geotechnical on it. I don't know if we is required or not. I'm just asking your professional opinion of what we need on this.
We haven't looked at their geotech report as of yet, but could be something that we encounter. So definitely could make that a condition.
I don't think it's needed if it's not needed. I just didn't know if that was brought up. I just want to make sure that we, with these tough soils, that we have the appropriate amount of geotechnical work that's required.
Yeah.
John, could you talk to us a little bit about the water system that will need to be designed differently as transient water system?
Good thing Lester's here. You know, he can speak better to the transient water system for the RV park. That's basically, it's got to be a separate system. It's got to have its own operator from our municipal system just because of the RV park.
So are we approving a future car wash with this site? It says future car wash right here. I would assume we're not approving anything outside of the RV and the gas station at this time.
They would have to bring back
for another condition.
For another conditional use permit on any other item.
And the only thing you would approve tonight is the RV park and the gas station and pumps.
And the RV is a permitted use in commercial.
John, maybe I'll have you talk to another point if you don't mind.
Sorry, Councilman.
No, you're fine. You talked about a condition for secondary access be installed with the first phase of construction, what the idea is behind that. And
Yeah, with this first phase, we'll actually have 3 points of access. Paul's comment in regards to that second access point, I think he was looking back into that phase 2 on what would be our public road there. But with this first phase, we'll actually have 3 access points, 1 from Razor Ridge and then 2 from Telegraph. So we're comfortable with our access points that we'll have in this first phase.
Thank you.
John, is that access point at Razor Ridge 100% necessary?
I would say it's not 100% necessary. We got the public access point that we have up there by the hotel and the gas station. I could probably go either way since we have that and we have 2 access points out onto Telegraph. Those are my more important access points versus
I think that's
one
a
back to
flow of
Razor Ridge,
travel
but
though.
we would like to have at least the one back there. So
I think it's their flow of travel with the RV site is to have that.
yeah, I mean, it would help, you know, with getting some of those out of there and stuff, but I understand where some of the comments that were from the public and stuff in regards to those vehicles coming back out through there.
That's why I ask, is just some of the comments from the public, and, you know, having been over in the area, I can see the point, but I can also see that a development like this needs access points to relieve some pressure from the other ones. So I'm just asking.
Yeah. I mean, I could honestly go either way with that one. It's, to me, that anybody leaving the RV park could use either of the Telegraph entry points, or they could slide back through on the Razor Ridge from the other one. So.
Okay.
Mayor, who would you have us ask questions regarding the parks and trails? Paul Walker. And there's Paul. Hey, Paul. So there's a master plan trail that goes through here.
Yes.
And we've identified what our trail standards are and how it's going to connect with the SR9 trail. And all those details have been pointed out and all that.
Yes, this will connect to
future potential trail on SR 9, which will connect to a master plan trail with Hurricane City too. So we're aware of that, and we've talked with them and maintaining the connection between the existing trail at the park and the potential trail on SR 7. or
So that was
SR
my
9.
specific question, is that we've discussed this with Hurricane, they're aware of.
Yes, yeah, Hurricane has it master plan to the east of Telegraph, and we've got master plan to the west of Telegraph, and this will enable that connection to remain.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Paul.
Drew, is it appropriate to put the 30-day limit on it, or is that already in the code?
It's not per se in the code written that way because it allows for hotel motels and RV parks. So, but it didn't, I don't think our code specifically said it. So I don't mind it being on this condition of approval for that, because that's what it should be, because that's what it.
Does the council see a problem with adding a 30-day maximum stay? Remind me what 12 is.
It says short-term stay. The RV park extends only to short-term stay. Do we need to stipulate?
Just amend it
30
to
days?
say short-term stay of 30 days max. You ready for a motion, man?
I am.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve conditional use permit C-23-12 for the proposed gas station and RV park only located at approximately 4395 East Telegraph Street, with conditions and findings by staff, with the additional amendment of condition 12 to state after RV parks extended only to short-term stay no longer than 30 days. And condition number 13, all perimeter block walls must be at or above RV pad site grades.
Council, you've heard the motion. Applicant or applicant's representative, you've heard a few additional conditions. I'm looking to you at this point to determine if you feel like those are fair, and I'm happy to take a nod, or happy for you to just, speak to those. And if you just state your name, we saw you at the Planning Commission meeting.
Yeah, I'm Steve Beasley. I'm with Desert Edge Architecture, also representing the owner. Those recommendations are acceptable. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, you've heard Councilman Coates' motion. Would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second that, Mayor.
I have a second by Councilman Henderson. Let's go roll call. Coates. Ivy.
Ivy, aye.
Casperson.
Hi.
Martinson.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
The conditional use permit is approved. We look forward to a really nice project there and some future development on the rest of the parcel. We'll move on to the next item, item 6, as an ordinance. 6A, this is consideration to approve an ordinance for City Code Amendment Title 8, Chapter 9, Landscape and Water Conservation. I'll invite our Legislative Affairs Officer, Jordan Hess, to present to the council on this item.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you are aware, we passed an ordinance earlier this year. The Water District had some additional standards, and we have worked through the last couple of weeks what those new standards are, worked through many of your questions and suggestions, worked closely with the Water District to make a couple of exceptions. This document has been shared with you and did a little bit of homework between the workshop and now. It's become a very colorful document. The blue font were the original suggested changes. The green ones were the ones that we presented earlier in the workshop. And the purple font are the additions that were made within the past 2 hours. So we did add a definition for mulch. Mulch is a protective covering spread or left on the ground to reduce evaporation and provide other benefits. Mulch may consist of organic or inorganic materials such as grass clippings, straw, bark chips, stones, brick chips, rubber, and plastic as defined by the USDA. We also added curb and gutter in the definition of roadway. But other than that, no changes have been made since the workshop.
Thank you for your quick work and that great mulch definition.
He's very efficient.
We only have 3 colors of edits after all this work.
Only 3.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yep.
And thank you, Doug. I want to recognize you with the Water Conservancy District. Council, any questions for Jordan?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone who took our suggestions and implemented them, going back to the board with Doug and the mayor and Jordan. So I appreciate that.
The process works. We hope that the result is an ordinance that we can be proud of, and I think this one is. Further discussion on this particular item, or is anyone prepared to make a motion that allows us to continue our wonderful rebate program and lead out across the state in water conservation and water policy?
Mayor, I don't want to make a motion, but I would just like to say that it, again, restate what Councilman Coates said, and that is that it's great to have local partners that are cooperative, that listen, that work together to find meaningful solutions to move forward. We had a concern, it was listened to, and we appreciate that. We appreciate being heard, because ultimately we're representing our citizens, and that process really worked this time, and I appreciate all the entities involved in this.
Well said, Councilman Ivy.
Mayor, I have one question.
Please.
Just clarifying, since Thad's on the Shade Tree Board.
Okay, all right, don't let it go to your head, Thad. Okay, we know how much you love this
It
topic.
just grew a little bigger. Just noticing, and I apologize for not noticing this before, 893AC emitters, 20 gallons per hour or less. Are there any trees or shrubs that are approved by the Shade Tree Board that would require more than a 20 gallon per hour emitter? I know you can put multiples on. I'm just asking the question just in case.
Yeah, my answer is no, there aren't. The Shade Tree Committee recognizes the conservation, but one thing is 20 gallons per hour. What we try to educate people is your trees and your plants will be healthier and happier if you run a slow emission emitter for a longer time period. So a lot of folks have this, oh, I need to water the lawn for 15 minutes because it used to be, the broadcast sprinklers. But what we tell them is no, run it for 90 minutes. Let it be a nice deep soak. That'll encourage the roots deeper and the plants will be healthier and happier. So no, this ordinance conforms with the shade tree and with water conservation practices.
Thank you for taking the opportunity to educate all of us.
Mayor, if you're ready for a motion.
Yes, I am, Councilman.
Make a motion that we approve, make a motion we approve an ordinance for City Code Amendment Title 8, Chapter 9, Landscape and Water Conservation, as outlined with all the edits and changes that are outlined in our current packet.
All colors.
All colors included.
Council, you've heard Councilman Coates' motion.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second by Councilman Martinson. Let's go roll call on that. Ivy.
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
Martinson.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
Thank you, Jordan. The ordinance is amended and updated, and we look forward to continued partnership in the rebate program with our partners at the state and the district. We moved the resolution to the top of the agenda this evening. So at this time, we'll move on to report of officers from assigned committees. Councilman Martinson, do you have anything you'd like to report on this evening?
Nothing additional than what was already reported on, and Councilman Coates can report on the flood control for us.
Sounds good. Councilman Henderson.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Coates.
Since Councilman Martinson's making me talk about flood control. No, it was a good meeting. We hadn't had one in like 4 or 5 months just because of the, just hadn't been a busy season for flood control, but there's some good projects coming. We mostly just talked about budget. It's working good. There's nothing really major to report. So they funded a little more money for the ACE crews. if everyone know what the ACE crew is, where they go and try to clean up the tamarisk in the river. They funded a little bit more just in case the federal government shuts down, that we can keep paying the ACE crews to keep working, but we're hopeful we don't have to use that money. So
That's good. We had a pretty good flood year considering the amount of moisture we received.
yes, extremely good year. I actually got the opportunity to go to the annual conference, but this is a work related to the stormwater. It's Utah. It's all the cities and engineers get together on the flood control, and they were very extremely happy with how across the state how well it went. They show like all the areas that they had problems, but nothing crazy. So it worked out pretty well. We all had a little bit of damage. We had some damage on the trail, but we didn't lose whole parks or homes. So,
Yeah.
and it was an interesting, I mean, they talked about global warming and stuff like that, but the interesting thing that an adjacent city member mentioned is when we had the Santa Clara floods in 05, if we think about it, not one house got flooded. It was because of erosion. The houses fell into the river. So and I never thought of it like that. We have floods, but not one house got flooded. Just the ground underneath them got taken away. So they were elevated up. So it's just something to think about, that sometimes it's not just always about the flood. It's about what the rivers can do to get to your house in these rivers that don't have protection, the sandy beds.
It's weird to think that it's been almost 20 years, and that brought back memories of kind of visual memories of seeing some of those homes as the foundation beneath them went away.
Mayor, on that, if anybody wants to watch that video, I've got it. It's electronic. I burned the DVD. So if anybody wants to watch that, remember
Yeah.
that time.
Well, I love that I appreciate both of your service on that flood control authority. It's a good pooling of resources and commitment to recognizing that when water comes in the desert, it comes in bunches, and we do our best to plan accordingly. Thank you, Councilman Coates. Councilman Ivy, what report would you have tonight?
So Legislative Policy Committee still, there's a lot of jockeying and moving around, a lot of big things to talk about with anticipation of the upcoming session. There's going to be over 1,000 bills, which is a lot to try to sift through. I did reach out to our lobbyist and ask him about a couple that have kind of risen to the top. And so we'll have more discussion of those as they get filed and all those type of things. But the State Water Board is still working on some legislation, trying to determine exactly what oversight that committee needs at the state level. So I'll keep you up to date on that. And then just update on my public safety assignment. Had a really, really good conversation with Chief Evans and Chief Kazir at Firehouse 61. Had a really good conversation about their firefighters and the department. And, I just shared with them, we always take our opportunity to thank our police and fire, but shared just sincerely how much we appreciate one aspect of the fire department, and that is they're very capable, but they're such service oriented. They're true community members. They're about serving the community, and we complimented them on that, and we realize that comes from leadership down. So we just had a really good visit, and they just share their positive regards. So
thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Casperson.
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
I had the opportunity to be on a panel at the Housing Action Coalition. That's always a difficult subject, especially in an inflationary environment and a high interest rate environment. A lot of people are really, a lot of people who have serious needs, who add value to our community, are really struggling to find adequate housing. And so it's kind of an all hands on deck approach right now. And I felt like that second annual HAC meeting just continues to bring the awareness, and it pools a lot of the resources and the ideas. And so it's just a fantastic opportunity, and appreciate Jordan, who serves on that committee and that board on there. And so we're working towards that. Before we move on to the city manager report, you've got your painting, Councilwoman Casperson.
Well, since you brought that up, we can all appreciate it, can't we? I want to thank John Olson. He actually was so thoughtful. You know, our family went through something difficult and he actually reached out to me and wanted to give us as a gift to our family. And it was really touching. I know he doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but I do. I really did appreciate him.
We all appreciate John and we appreciate you. You've been in our thoughts and prayers. We're glad to have you back. Before we wrap this meeting up, before we go to Jeremy, I'd just like to take a moment and you don't see her because she's upstairs behind the scenes, but we have a pretty amazing deputy recorder, and she's been with us for a few years and has really helped this city on a number of fronts, in particular archiving electronically just boxes and boxes of important documents and automating those processes in different departments throughout the city. This particular individual has just been a real support to the council and to the recorder's office. In fact, while working and just making a real difference here, she's also finished up a master's degree in public administration. So I'd just like to be on the record recognizing Lexi Roosh and wishing her well. Her last official day on site is Friday. She'll be working remotely for a period of time. But we're going to miss you, Lexi. I know you're listening, and we really appreciate you. We wish you the best. And if you ever come back to Southern Utah, and if I have anything to say about it, we want you back at the city. Jeremy, item 9, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. For my friends who are here to listen to my report and the people on YouTube and Lester, because he doesn't come every time, I have 3 items. And I would echo what you said about Lexi, and we are going to have some cookies up in her hallway. So if you're around tomorrow afternoon, come say goodbye in person and have a cookie. Lester's worked really hard and his team on the Long Valley water tank and booster. The design's underway on that. We've completed the geotech, and the pumps will be ordered by the end of the month. So each month we see that project moving ahead. We have a couple of other tanks that are in the works, and we're working on sites, identifying sites in Sunrise Valley and the airport for those 2 tanks. The last item I have is a power item, and I feel a little sheepish because I don't come and tell you every month when the PCA goes up, but it has gone down for the first time in about a year. So I think that's really positive news for our residents, for our power company. The power costs that we saw last summer are now cycling out of that PCA because it's a 12-month rolling average. And our PCA portion of our rate went down from basically a quarter, 2.5 cents to just under 2 cents. So that part of the bill dropped by 28.7%. So I think that's worth noting and recognizing that, when things do go up, at least in this case, they've gone down somewhat. So we're hoping to see that continue to decrease as power costs come back in line. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Jeremy. We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate your report and the things that you say publicly, and the many, many things that you do behind closed doors to keep this city running smoothly and functioning as it should for our residents. Council, we do need to go into closed session for item 10B, pending or potential litigation. So at this time, I'd look for a motion to that effect.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Coates. Second by Councilman Martinson. All in favor? That is approved unanimously. We will move into closed session. Thank you.